You always know when something shifts. You feel it before you see it. That's the thing about betrayal. It's not loud. It's subtle, silent, and it always starts small. It was the early 2000s. I had a modest house, 2 kids, 4 and 6, and a wife I thought I trusted. We weren't rich. We weren't dramatic. We were just normal. But then came the weirdness. Nothing dramatic, just odd. The kids started saying things. Things that didn't make sense. Mommy took us to Grandma's again today. We played there yesterday too. Her parents lived 90 minutes away. That's 3 hours on the road, just for babysitting? Every day she wasn't working at her part-time job? It didn't add up. So I asked her. She smiled, shrugged. They just miss the kids. But the lie was thin. You could see it in the way her jaw tensed, in how she avoided eye contact. My wife wasn't a good liar. She never had to be. Until now. I started watching things more closely. Small things. Her tone when she talked to me. The time it took to get groceries. The way she'd rush to the shower when she got home. But the real clue. Her mileage. She didn't know I was watching it. Every Sunday night, I'd jot down the odometer in her Corolla. By Friday, plus 400 miles. Where was she going? Who was she seeing? I wanted to believe it was harmless. That maybe I was just paranoid, carrying the trauma of my parents' toxic marriage. But I couldn't ignore it. Something was happening behind my back. And I needed proof. One day, I sat at our old family computer. It was one of those clunky beige monitors, AOL dial-up still ringing in our ears. And on the desk was a yellow sticky note. Her AOL password. Just sitting there. Like a trap. Or an invitation. I wish I could say I paused. That I wrestled with the morality of it. But I didn't. I logged in. There weren't hundreds of emails. Just a handful, between her and her old college best friend. But that was enough. They talked about him. Her high school ex. They joked about his wife. How bloated she looked after kids. How amazing the sex was after all these years. She called it a reunion tour. Narrator, flat. I printed the emails. Every one. I put them in a folder. And then I sat in the dark for a long, long time. I didn't confront her. I needed everything. So I called a friend. A cop. He gave me the number of a guy he trusted. A former officer turned PI named Ron. Ron didn't ask a lot of questions. He just said, "Give me the timeline. The emails. The routine." And I did. Ron didn't waste time. Within 3 days, he called me. "She's active," he said. Same routine. Same guy. Different days. But always the same motel. He gave me the address. I knew it. It was one of those run-down places near the freeway with weekly rates and zero reputation. A place people go when they don't want to be seen. That made it real. No more suspicion. No more doubt. Just cold, hard truth. Ron was meticulous. He handed me a report in a plain black envelope. Inside, photos, dates, times. 10:42 a.m. She drops the kids off at her parents'. 11:12 a.m. Lunch with him at a diner in town. 11:59 a.m. They check into the motel. 2:43 p.m. She leaves. Drives back. Picks up the kids. 5 p.m. She walks in the door. Kisses me on the cheek. Like nothing happened. The photos were worse than I expected. They weren't pornographic. They didn't have to be. They were comfortable. Familiar. Like two people who had been doing this for months. Maybe years. I stared at one picture for 20 minutes. It was her, laughing in the car, his hand on her thigh. She looked happy. You ever notice how memory works when you're in pain? It's like a slideshow. Every happy moment becomes infected. Our wedding day. Her holding our kids for the first time. The way she'd fall asleep on the couch with her head on my shoulder. They all started to feel fake. I wasn't even angry yet. I was just numb. I kept thinking, my kids are at her parents'. She's cheating while they eat cookies and play with Legos. I knew I couldn't lose my temper. I had one shot to do this right. I asked Ron to dig deeper. Find out who he is. Who she's risking our family for. A few days later, Ron called me again. His name's Bob. Lives 25 minutes away. Married. 3 kids. He's a VP of sales at his father-in-law's company. House. owned by his wife's family. So he had just as much to lose as she did. Perfect. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to fight. I was going to burn their little world down. Legally. Quietly. Completely. I called a divorce attorney. Gave him everything, the PI report, the emails, the photos. He said, "Infidelity may not change much in court, but you're doing this right. Keep your head down. Don't engage her." And I didn't. I played along. Pretended everything was normal. Made love like a husband. Smiled through dinner. Watched cartoons with the kids on Saturday morning. All while planning the most controlled demolition of a marriage I'd ever seen. The day I chose wasn't random. It was a Thursday. The kids were in school. She was at work. And Bob? He was about to find out that secrets don't stay buried forever. I had 2 envelopes. One with divorce papers for her. The other with truth. Her envelope was served at 1:17 p.m. At her job. In front of her co-workers. In front of her friends. In front of her image. She texted me one word. Why? I didn't respond. At the exact same time, Ron, the PI, was meeting Bob's wife. They sat in her car. In a grocery store parking lot. While he laid out the whole thing. The affair. The photos. The lunch dates. The motel stays. All of it. According to Ron, she didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just sat there, silent, trembling. And then she said, "Can I keep this?" He handed her the folder. And then she drove away. That night, my wife came home. She didn't speak to me. She didn't scream. She didn't even pretend. She just walked in, sat on the couch, and stared at the wall. Our kids were with my sister that night. I'd arranged that in advance. She finally whispered, "How much do you know?" I said, "Enough to end this." She cried. But I didn't comfort her. I didn't need to. This was the first night in weeks I felt clean. Within 24 hours, Bob's wife had emptied their joint bank account, taken the kids to her parents' house, filed for an emergency separation. The woman moved like a general at war. I respected it. By Monday, Bob was fired. Turns out, his father-in-law ran the company. And the only reason Bob had his cushy VP job was because of marriage. No wife. No kids. No job. That was just the beginning. Their house. Owned by his wife's parents. He had 30 days to pack up and go. But he didn't take it well. He showed up at the house. Tried to argue. Tried to plead. That's when her brother stepped in. Bob shoved him. And in return, he got his nose broken. I wasn't there. But I read the police report. Saw the charges. The restraining order filed the next day. The second incident 2 weeks later. Bob was falling, fast. And every fall he took, I didn't lift a finger. Because I didn't have to. Bob didn't vanish all at once. He tried to fight. Tried to save face. Tried to claw back whatever he could. But the truth is, when you've built your life on a lie, the collapse is never slow. Bob's wife filed for divorce less than a week after seeing the photos. She didn't ask for half. She asked for everything. Custody. Child support. The house. The business shares. Gone. And because of the cheating, the financial records, the restraining orders, she got it. The woman was surgical. Her attorney filed motions like clockwork. Every time Bob tried to push back, she had evidence. She had leverage. She had truth. I didn't follow everything. But some things made the news. A local blog reported on the domestic dispute. Another noted his termination from the VP position. Then came the court appearances. Small mentions in the public records. Breach of peace. Violation of a restraining order. Failure to appear. Eventually, he just disappeared. Ron said he probably left the state. Started over somewhere. Assumed a new version of himself. But wherever he is, I hope the silence reminds him of what he lost. As for my wife, or ex-wife, the divorce went through quietly. We didn't argue. Didn't scream. Didn't fight. We spoke only when the kids were involved. And even that faded once they were older. I didn't get alimony. Didn't want it. I had a job. I had my dignity. And after everything, that was enough. I'd already taken everything else from her. Her lover. Her fantasy. Her illusion of control. What was left wasn't my concern. There's a peace that comes after a storm. Mornings became sacred. Coffee at the window. The kids' laughter drifting in from another room. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. And it was honest. My kids never knew the full story. Not the PI. Not the motel visits. Not the folder of photos I handed to a stranger in a grocery store parking lot. They were 4 and 6. Too young to understand betrayal. Too pure to hold that kind of pain. So I protected them. Not just from her, but from me. To them, Dad was calm. Steady. A rock in the middle of a cracked house. I never spoke ill of her in front of them. Never told them she chose another man over our family. Never showed them the printed emails or the photographs. Because I remembered what it was like. My parents cheated on each other. My childhood was broken by whispers, slammed doors, and venom disguised as love. I wouldn't repeat that cycle. But I kept everything. The emails. The PI reports. The court documents. Even the sticky note with her AOL password. I put them in a box. Wrapped in a manila envelope. Taped it shut. And hid it on the highest shelf of my closet. Why? Not for revenge. Not for memories. But in case one day they asked. They never asked why we divorced. Never demanded to know what really happened. Maybe they saw more than I thought. Maybe their silence was their own kind of healing. But they grew up kind, smart, strong. And if you ask them today, they'll tell you their dad never raised his voice. Never missed a soccer game. Never told them what their mother did. That was my revenge. Not ruining her. Not destroying him. But raising them right. Sometimes I think about the folder. About Bob. His job. His broken nose. The restraining orders and the eviction. And no, I don't regret it. I didn't shout. Didn't swing. Didn't scream on the front lawn. I just exposed the truth. Let it breathe. And watched it do what truth always does. Truth ruins lies. And this was a life built entirely on one. There's this quote I heard once. If you're going through hell, keep walking. I didn't understand it at first. But now I get it. When you're being lied to. When the truth is slipping through your fingers like smoke. When everything you trusted starts to rot from the inside. The last thing you want to do is stand still. Because that's how pain consumes you. You have to move. Even if it's slow. Even if it's one breath at a time. It wasn't the divorce papers. Wasn't the private investigator. Wasn't even the revenge. You want to know what saved me? Making breakfast for my kids while they still wore superhero pajamas. Folding laundry while the sun came through the blinds. That one Tuesday morning when no one cried. The small stuff. That's what pulled me back. Because revenge fades. Justice ends. But peace grows. If you let it. If you've ever been cheated on. If you've ever had your trust shattered. If you've sat in a dark room wondering how you missed the signs. Let me tell you something. You didn't deserve it. You're not weak. You're not stupid. You're just human. We all want to believe the best in the person we love. Even when they don't deserve it. That's not a flaw. That's a strength. If I could go back to the version of me staring at a sticky note with a password on it, I'd say, you're not crazy. You're not wrong. And no, you're not overreacting. You're waking up. That's what it feels like. Waking up hurts. But it's how healing begins. I didn't get revenge just to destroy. I got it to protect. To reset the scale. But it wasn't the destruction that satisfied me. It was the quiet after. The space where chaos used to live. And now there was silence. A clean kind of silence. Where my kids could grow. Where I could breathe. where truth could live. She broke our vows. One motel room at a time. One lie at a time. One betrayal behind one smile. But I didn't break. I rebuilt. It took time. Therapy. Coffee alone. Phone calls that ended in silence. But slowly, I found the pieces. I redecorated the house. Donated the furniture she picked. Took the kids on long drives where we didn't talk about her at all. We found laughter again. Not because it came easily, but because we fought for it. Years later, she called. The kids were older. She had moved on. I had healed. She said, "I was stupid. I was selfish. I don't know why I did it." And I said, "I do. Because that's the truth. Sometimes people aren't evil. They're just weak. And when weak people are faced with temptation, they crumble. That doesn't excuse them, but it does explain them." I forgave her. Not to let her off the hook, but to release myself from the weight of carrying her mistakes. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's choosing peace over poison. I didn't invite her back. Didn't become her friend. Didn't meet her for coffee. But in my heart, I let it go. Today, I'm just a guy with grown kids. A guy who lived through hell and came out clean on the other side. My son calls me every Sunday. My daughter visits with her fiancé. We eat lasagna and laugh too loud and cry about movies. And no one mentions what happened back then. Not because it didn't matter, but because it's done. To anyone listening, to the one who just found the texts, to the one sitting in their car, shaking, wondering what to do, let me leave you with this. You are not what they did to you. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are a survivor, a warrior, a builder of something new. And you will rise, not for revenge, not to prove anything, but because life after betrayal is still life, and it can still be beautiful. She broke our vows in a cheap motel room, but I rebuilt my life in the kitchen, in the car rides, in the bedtime stories with my kids, in quiet mornings with coffee and sunlight. She lost everything chasing something cheap. I built something priceless by telling the truth, and walking away with my dignity intact. Have you ever been betrayed? Tell your story in the comments below. If this story hit home, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more cinematic real-life stories. New stories every week. Stay strong.